let's just go. What's your take on Andy Haines? Because I'm pretty sure everyone listening right now has a very negative input on him.
Easiest thing to say is who replaces him, and how do you build trust in a year?
Well,
because we've fired the last 3. We've had 3 in the last 6 years since I've been here.
So that's kind of a problem, too, right?
Branson was loved by the players. Eckstein was loved by the players. We had David Eckstein too because of Eckstein. We lost both those guys. And then now we have Andy Haines, and he's at the 2-year mark, just like those guys, and he didn't have his COVID year. He wasn't allowed to travel in 2021. The only person he hit with was Brian Reynolds, and Brian Reynolds had his second best year to his All-Star year, and arguably I think it was a better year, especially since he played hurt with an oblique and nobody knew. A lot of these guys were playing hurt and you didn't know too. And I think Andy Haines is, I'm going to say this, he's not a hitting coach. He's become a hitting coach because that's what got him to the big leagues. He is going to manage. He's going to win a World Series at some point. He's the top 5 smartest baseball mind I know. And if we had it set up right, maybe Don Kelly is a hitting coach. Andy Haines is the bench coach. That's no knock to Donnie Kelly, but that's how smart Andy Haines is. If that kind of brings any, like Mike Ribello is also one of those guys that's incredibly smart. But it goes back to the same thing when Hurdle used to walk in the cage. You have Derek Shelton, who was a hitting coach too. You have a lot of guys that have backgrounds with that hitting, and it's such a collective group. Andy Haines pushes back. Most of those guys don't. Andy Haines pushes back to Sherrington. He pushes back to Bob Nutting because he has nothing to lose because he's not supposed to be here. And that's why I like Andy Haines. I love him as a human being and as a person, and I know the players respect him. And he actually asked for their opinion. I sat in a couple of hitters meetings, and it's different because he says, Kutch, Reynolds, Sawinski, Figueroa, what do you got? You don't hear that. It's not like that in the pitching meeting. And that's the difference. And I think the biggest problem is the trust factor. Like, you have to gain the trust, and it takes time. It took a long time for some of those guys to trust. Sawinski and Triolo trusted immediately. It took Sawinski a long time. But Triolo, his entire realm came from Andy Haines when he got to the big leagues. He stood him up, did everything. And I watched it happen in real time. I watched it happen in the cage. Andy Haines is very, very good. I think every hitting coach in the big leagues is going to get fired within 2 to 3 years. I mean, Kevin Seitzer has been fired 5,000 times. He just happens to be in Atlanta. Right? Right? It's not hard to coach guys that are phenomenal. It's really hard to coach guys that spend half the year in the minor leagues and then try to gain their trust in the big leagues when they're fighting for their lives. And that's what's hard to explain to fans, because it's not the fact that they get to the big leagues and struggle. It's the fact that, like, nobody thinks about the analytical department. Nobody thinks about the game plan guy. Nobody thinks about all the extra work they did all year long defensively that was crushing these guys, especially Henry Davis. They were getting destroyed in every way, but Andy Haines was getting dominated. You know what I mean? Nobody went after Oscar when they were really struggling. Nobody went after Message when they struggled in the bullpen.
We did.
I'm saying the media outside of you guys.
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
And rightfully so. But I think the biggest thing, and I wish this would happen in every way, I wish everybody get more transparency. Andy would give it to you. A lot of guys wouldn't. Andy will shoot you straight. Most of the league won't. The best guys do, and he would. You just got to go ask him. And a lot of the things that got released, even some of the stuff Mackey said, was not real, was not right, was not even close. And that's not from him. And like the whole Nunnally thing was not correct.
That's what I was going to ask you of. What do you make of that?
If Nuttling was as good as he was, he's been in this organization for a long time. He does have a relationship with Key Bryan. And Andy Haines has no ego. Like, he would have let him hit with him, but he wasn't here hitting with Key Bryan. Right? The biggest problem with Key Bryan, in my opinion, was he didn't leave his old school approach. He had the worst approach angle and the worst path in all of baseball this year. Do you know who showed him the difference? Andy Haines, not Nuttling. And it was Key Bryan. It was Key Bryan's decision. That's what everybody, I think, fans don't understand, is it's the player's ultimate decision. Like when Sawinski finally bought in to hit the ball to the right side, his power went down in September, but he got 28 hits to opposite field. That changed who he was, but he had to be convinced to do that. because he thought he was a one-trick pony, and he's not. Dude can fly. He has really good barrel control when he leans out, and then he's got to take his chances. He may not hit 40 homers, but he'll hit 25. He'll hit 30, play great defense, and maybe hit 260, 250 instead of 198, and maybe be close to Kyle Schwarber floating at that 800 OPS. But like they had to get him to understand inside to even touch outside, and then he forgot what outside was. And it was cool to see that because I got to watch that from day one. If that makes sense.
A lot was made, and this is more just fan speculation again. The Pirates were a very, very patient team. I think they led the league in strikeouts looking. If a pitch wasn't in that strike zone, and they were very good at knowing what was a strike and what wasn't, but it's just those borderline pitches. They got called strikes a lot, and they left. They didn't swing at them, right, and that's what got them in trouble a lot of times. Was that an Andy Haines thing? Is that an organizational philosophy? Because we're also seeing the Pirates minor leaguers walk more than we've ever seen before. So is this is this an organizational thing, like, or is this just Andy Haines telling hitters, wait for your pitch, don't swing at anything that's not your pitch type deal?
That's analytics. There's value to that. So the Houston Astros are the best. So they make the best swing decisions, but they don't miss their pitches. And they also adapt to the actual day, which a lot of these young guys couldn't do. Right? Like Connor Joe took a huge step forward, and I think you're going to see him take off next year and be more consistent because he made such a big stride from the year before, especially hitting higher velocity. He did take a lot. Golly, he took so many pitches, but at the end of the year, he started to expand. He started to notice, hey, I got to go out and get this pitch. I got to do some things different. And he pulled the ball as good as I could have ever imagined. I couldn't believe how well he pulled the baseball. And I think he's going to get back to being able to, play pepper in the gap. I would have thought he would have been 800 OPS if he would have gotten hot a little bit sooner at the end of the year. But he's going to be a guy that's going to be a staple in our lineup because of what he was able to do this year. I think he got overexposed. But a lot of these guys, it comes from multiple directions. Like when we had the biggest problems on any team I played with, it was because too many voices were coming in, and it was voices that were trying to make a name for themselves more than actually trying to win, if that makes any sense.
I guess my question, do you think the Pirates have too many voices trying to make their name right now?
I don't think they have enough big league voices.
Okay.
Like I would love to see an AJ Burnett. I'd love to see more voices like me, Neil Walker, Matt Capps, different guys to push back. Maybe not in the clubhouse, but like there's no reason I can't be mentoring Henry Davis. There's no reason I can't be, talking to Radley about game planning when I've been asked to do that job for other teams. It's just we don't use, I think, the value that's around us consistently. So, and that helps with the yes men mentality, because we have a lot of young people.
Right.
Oscar's a new pitching coach. He's one of the best developers in the game. That's why we got him. But he's had to maybe figure it out in the big leagues as a big league pitching coach. Like he doesn't have the Ray Searage effect, but could he map and design and tell you biomechanics? Absolutely. He's a wizard at it. So it's there's just a balance, and they're trying to all figure it out. And I think giving people time and betting on the right people, even if they do struggle, is always good. I always use Mitch Keller as the best example because dude was awful for 3 years.
Hey, you all, thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.